Hello everyone, I hope everyone can hear me. Oh, it looks alright. Nice to be back live. It has been a long time, I think. Now, I would say let's give everyone some time to join the stream. I'm sure it will take a few moments. If you're here... Oh, that's fast. Great, there are some first people in the chat. Nice to meet you, and thanks for joining the stream. Alright. Well... Hello, Rosa. Oh, I'm seeing already familiar names. Everyone, very welcome. Thanks for joining today. I'm always so surprised at how quickly people see the notifications. You guys are fast. I'm seriously not even 50 seconds into the stream here. So I see the question comes up already. No, it's not Blender, it's ZBrush. To be more specific, it's ZBrush Core. It's kind of a cheaper, a bit less featured version of ZBrush, which I'll be working with today, but I'll explain a bit more about that later. Hello, BitHub and Prunaru. Hi. Difficult to pronounce. Okay, so today I want to do a little practice for a certain style. So I made a little sketch up here that you can see in the left upper corner. You're welcome. I'm glad to contribute to your day. So this here is my sketch that I made, and to give you a little bit of a background for this project, I received a little job offer for the next month that I'll be working on, and I was asked to work in sort of a 90s style to make a few characters. I cannot share too much because I don't know how much the person wants me to say or not to say, so I'll just keep it at that. But for that commission or job, whatever you want to call it, I want to practice the style a little bit. I want to prepare so that I can do a good job on the characters that I will be making next month. And because until then, I think it's no problem if I share the progress, I thought I would share it. And yes, it's very different from Blender because it's not Blender. I'm using ZBrush. So let me get started in the meantime, and for everyone, just feel free to drop comments and questions as always. It has actually been 3 weeks that I've not been streaming. I try to do them every week, but I had like my exam period right now. Well, actually it's not even over. Actually, it hasn't even started. Actually, it's going to start in the coming week on Thursday. It's going to be around a week, almost every day some exams. And because of that, I was really busy and I couldn't even do much 3D at all. This is quite scary actually. This is the first model that I make in like 3 weeks. I hope I'm still somewhat in the flow. But as I had to finish the final reports and final assignments, and I had to study a bunch for the upcoming exams, it was a bit difficult to get to stream. But yesterday I just finished the most difficult parts that were like the most difficult tasks. I was studying Korean basically, and well, just like the foundation course, so it's not like I can speak Korean. But in this course we had to do a speech for which was 10% of our grade, so it was kind of important. Problem, however, was that I really didn't learn too much throughout this semester because I was really busy doing other things, and it turned out not to be my first priority, and so I really lacked a lot of knowledge in order to do the speech. But I managed to write it somehow by doing lots of research and whatnot. So I had my speech, and I did actually not know what the words in it mean, but I had to like give the speech without holding the notes or the script in my hand. So I basically spend every day 2 hours or so practicing remembering these words that I didn't know the meaning for. And somehow I pulled it off in the end, and now it's a lot easier. Now the biggest part of the work is done, and now I can at least give myself 1 day of rest to do the stream and to model a little bit. So that's a little bit of a story. Hello to Simon and Moonclan Warrior and everybody else who joined. Thanks so much for joining. I hope we can have a good time today in the stream. Why is... Yeah, okay, I see. It's not Blender, guys. But I use Blender still. But I use it more in the background. For example, if I export something and I have to quickly change something about the mesh, I like to use Blender for that. If I do retopology, I still often go to Blender, because I'm very much used to the way Blender works. But other than that, it's a bit difficult. Yes, I bought ZBrush, but this is not the, the Pro version of it. It is the ZBrush Core version, so it's not too expensive if you compare it. It's just a bit, what was it? A bit less than $200 US. So it could be worse, but as it is a tool that you keep using for a long time and that you can, well, work with for a job, it's really an acceptable price in my opinion. So again, for those people who did not see the first few minutes of the stream, I was asked to help on a project. It is kind of a paid job that I'll be working on next month, and I'm preparing right now for the style that I was asked to work in, which was suggested to be sort of 90s style anime, of course, and in that I made a sketch of references that I was looking through, and I'm going to try today in the stream to model this face as good as I can to get a feel for the style that I will be working in. So it's not really for the project directly, it's just a personal preparation for the upcoming deal. Yeah, so Douglas Rosa asks, doesn't ZBrush have an auto retopology tool? That's true, however, unfortunately the ZBrush Core version does not have it, because it has all the less features and everything for the cheaper price. And unfortunately, Remesher and the retopology tools, they are not in this edition, which is really a shame, because these tools are really the reason why I'm considering to buy the Pro version very soon, because they will really make life a lot easier. But I can't do much about it right now, so I just have to use Blender instead, or any other tools that come up. So recently, one of the strategies that I'm trying to follow when making characters is to remind myself, even more than before, that I should start out with a very low resolution and work my way up. I've experienced this very often, that I quickly tend to raise the resolution of the mesh very early on. For example, if I was modeling this and I would start modeling the eyes, and quickly you see how you run out of enough vertices, and so you add more detail, of course, that you can work with. However, then at the end you want to suddenly add a neck, and then you can't really, because it's so hard to work with the high resolution mesh. Would have been less of a problem if it was retopologized and if I was using the subdivisions that I could switch between. However, as this is Dynamesh that I'm working with, it's a bit difficult. So this time I'll try to, I'm only modeling to what you can see here in the sketch, so it's kind of, the neck is included, but not towards the shoulders. So I'll try to lay it out first, and then we'll see. Thanks everybody for the comments, by the way. I see many are coming in. Thanks for joining, everyone. I don't know if I'm qualified really to do a ZBrush tutorial for beginners. I like for Blender and everything I taught so far, my way of learning was very different. I actually, for Blender, I looked at many tutorials before I ever started making my own, and I was reading, for example, articles that would go through, like for example, the node editor. I wanted to learn about the node editor in Blender, and I would read a PDF where every single node in the node editor was described, and I would actually go ahead and practice the use for every single node. And so by doing so, I actually can say that I have a pretty good understanding now of what the node system does. But in ZBrush it was very different for me. I just started it, I just played around, I didn't understand it, so I closed it and I came back after a long time. So I can use it by now to make my models, but I'm really missing lots of knowledge on many things. I have, for example, no idea what's in the masking tab here. It probably has something to do with the masking here, but okay, well, some of them are self-explanatory, but here's the difference. I cannot know many things because I've never used them. I know how to solve my problems when I come across them. So if I was to make an beginner's tutorial, I think I would not be able to make good suggestions to you. So maybe you should go to other people for start a series. But I think I can teach a little bit about the approach of how to go about a sculpt, because this is something that I'm actually looking more into and where it's not so technical. Oh, Millennium missed me. He is doing many streams on his channel, right? Justin Chu just mentioned. Well, I assume you're watching his streams too. What do you think about them? I hope everybody enjoys what he does over there. Personally, I didn't have much time to to watch over there much. I sometimes open it for a minute to see how everything is going. But as his streams come up like every day almost, it looks like he's doing quite well over there. I think being able to connect nodes has nothing to do with age. But node system in Blender is not too difficult when you take the time and look into it. I mean, back then when the node editor first started to be a thing in Blender, Blender Guru actually made a really good, it was a page thing I think, but he made a really good PDF for learning how to use the node editor. I had most of my knowledge from that one, I think, but that was already like 5 years ago. I think since then there are many new nodes, so it might not be the most up-to-date source. You might have new things though about that, if you're interested. And like, even if you have 2 years experience, it is very easy to spend like years of time using many other features and like ending up avoiding a certain one, just as me in ZBrush basically. I'm using it now for almost 3 years, but I never had to unwrap something because I never got that far, so yeah. I guess it's never too late to start. Oh, let me see the comments, sorry. By the way, regarding the anime character tutorial, I still have those recordings of my last character that I made. I just, as I said, I was really busy in the past couple of weeks. I didn't have time to like make a voiceover for them and to finish a tutorial series, but it is recorded, the next anime modeling sculpting tutorial actually. so can still be months away from being published. It depends on when I find the time, but there is something upcoming, just and it's good, like it's better than my past videos as in quality, so I hope you'll enjoy it. Of course I'll keep making new content and try to make it even better in the future, but for now I guess there's something to look forward to. What was I going to answer on? Yeah, so following on the conversation about nodes, so I'm seeing in the comments that the math nodes are apparently the confusing ones. I can see, yeah, how it can be difficult to grasp at first. Okay, I shouldn't be saying it's actually really easy. Okay, no, they are confusing, but once you get it, you will feel so powerful. Let me just tell you this much. In the end, to give you a very quick and brief idea, maybe you know it already anyways, but the math nodes, I mean, in a picture in general now, every pixel can be considered a number. For example, a white pixel consists of, as you know, every color consists of 3 colors, so a white consists of 3 values, all of which are 1, as in 100% of all colors, which makes a white color mixed together in the additional system. Whereas a black would be 0 on all 3 channels, and a red would be, you know, 100% basically on the red channel and 0 on the other channels. So every pixel is a number, and if you say, for example, you add a math node and you add 1 to it, I should mention that in the node system in Blender, the math node can only take 1 channel in, so it's not an RGB 3-channel input, it's a 1-channel vector input. Is it a vector? I'm not sure, but so you can input, for example, a black-white image of just 1 channel of the image. So makes things easier even. Every pixel is just a value between 0 and 1. And so you just basically add the number that you input into that node to the first pixel. So if you add 1, everything will be, in sum, everything will be beyond 1 if it's given that your input is not having negatives. And so you can kind of calculate the pixels, and for example, if you have a picture that is black and white and you just want the black parts to show and the whites to be invisible, you can multiply it, because a picture multiplied by 1 is the picture, but multiplied by 0 is 0, as math works. Okay, I'm just talking too much about this, but it's like, once you get it, you feel really great, I think. So maybe I could motivate you to look into it a little bit. I'm sure there are really good explanations out there, and the Blender wiki is always very useful to get a full understanding, not to miss out on anything. Thank you, Louis0000. I'm doing my best on the 3D models. Yes, I'm not in Blender, I'm in ZBrush. I should write this here. This question keeps coming up so often. Okay, let me put this here. This is ZBrush. It's not really lined up. Okay. I totally spelled it wrong. Oh no. Don't get mad. Okay. I didn't even capitalize them. Whatever. There we go. Let's see when the next person will ask what software I'm using. And for everybody else who joined, this is what I'm currently modeling. The ears are kind of big, aren't they? I tend to make the same mistakes over and over. So, for example, about the ears, I tend to make them too big. So it's kind of useful to remember that, as in, your ears are always too big, and then every time you make ears you can kind of check and take a look and see if you're making again the same mistake, and then if it's a yes you can fix it. So I haven't even mentioned, like I've only said that I've been really busy in the past weeks with studying, but I've actually even moved to a new apartment, sort of. That just like adds up to the story of me being busy throughout the past couple of weeks. But I shouldn't really say to a new apartment. I basically moved from the dormitory that I was living in into the same dormitory but a different room. But the building was a bit separate, so I had to walk between the rooms a couple of times, and then there's a lot of paperwork to do when you move. So it was just a very busy time. Well, yeah, please consider this a live tutorial. I feel so guilty for not providing any real tutorials recently anyways. Does anyone have questions about the process of making characters? I think I can answer a few things if there's anything you're wondering about. I've also been looking at what other artists do recently, so maybe I can give you an idea about the situation in Japan or whatnot. I see that 3D is becoming a bigger thing in recent time in the whole industry. And I consider it to be not too bad of a thing. I mean, I don't think it should be one of the two. It shouldn't be replacing art, but I think it's a very nice new method, a new style of doing animations, if it's used for animations anyways. Well, I think everyone should... Thanks for your comment, by the way. About the meaningful life that comes up here. So I think everybody should try to do their best in their life to make it meaningful. For me personally, this is a huge question. Because it's always easy to enjoy a single day, right? You can always come up... Well, not always, but sometimes it can be difficult, but like coming up with one thing that will make one day in short term is maybe not too difficult. But what about your life as a whole? Is it going to be meaningful when you look back, or will you end up having to avoid looking back because you feel that you could have done more? It's just kind of my mindset that I made for myself, but I'm always doing my best, and I always think about kind of the life as a whole. But at the same time, I'll never regret anything, because I always know, because of my mindset, that at any time in the past I was doing my best. If something didn't work out well, it just, well, maybe I did not have enough luck or whatever, but I did what I could. And so anyways, that's a long story. I can come back to that topic a bit later, maybe. Kind of connects to many interesting topics. I switched from Blender because well, if you want to, I might have to find a company that hires me at some point for 3D, but realistically speaking, not many studios use Blender, so that's one thing. And on the other hand, I really like ZBrush. It's super intuitive. Intuitive may not be the right word. It's actually very confusing at first, but once you get used to it, at least at my current situation, I feel like I can really get the shapes look the way I want them to look like in ZBrush, a lot better than in Blender. More detailed, closer to my imagination. So generally speaking, it's helping me to get my art a lot further. It is taking up some money. It's not free, but it is actually helping me to get my things done. So that's why I'm using it. And it's not competing with Blender, in my opinion, as in being the same thing, just better. It's not better because you can't really compare it, in my opinion. Blender is doing its thing, like the polygon modeling thing, way better than ZBrush or many other tools, in my opinion. But as for sculpting, ZBrush just shows much more focus on the whole thing, and it shows that they have just great tools for it. Yes, there we go. Somebody asked the question, the magic question. What software am I using? Should I color it red? You know what? I really don't like my handwriting over there. I didn't think I'd mind it this much. Let me erase it and rewrite it. I'll actually use some font. I don't want to write. This is ZBrush. Where are my fonts? What should I use? Oh, I forgot. This is my other computer. Well, I don't have my nice fonts that I wanted to use here. So just bear with this. Let's make a nice arrow. Oh, and I wanted to make it red. Oh my god, thank you so much for the... I'm so surprised. So I'm referring to the chat. There's this paid comment feature. And to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how this works, if this is like a donation system or if they... But pretty cool if that's how it works. Is the arrow good? I think that's a good arrow now. Okay, and I should color it. Let's not be lazy. Laziness doesn't get us far. Let me fill it in a nice red. There we go. Okay. So, what was I talking about? I was here in the comments. Okay, so 6 power watching? 36? Why maths all of a sudden? Okay, I got it. Japan is quite cool. Thanks for the question, Karim. I really like Japan. How can I describe my thoughts about Japan? Well, I really like the kind of the way the society of Japan, not every aspect about it. I'm not like glorifying every part of Japan. I sure feel like that there is things that should be different, but in a general sense now, Japan has very, very kind people, and I know that there is the criticism that it's all kind of what is it? That they're just acting friendly. but like, what's wrong about acting friendly to the people around you? As long as, you know, nobody's expecting too much from one another, and as long as everyone is kind of aware of the situation, I don't really see an issue with this whole situation. And as a person, as I grew up, I was always kind of similar in the way I interacted with people. I'm always very, very polite, even if I don't want to be with people. And when I lived in Austria, where I'm from, it sometimes got difficult because I would be the one being kind of polite, even if I didn't want, but others would be fairly direct. And so it can get a little bit difficult when you mix the two. But I found out about Japan, and I thought it was very similar to the way I like to live my life. And I ended up coming, studying the language, and everything went well. Now everything is good. And what else can I say? It's just very nice to see a country where everyone is very positive. And now, positive I shouldn't say too much maybe, but I mean of course they are, but maybe curious. They are not, like many countries are very closed in their community and they are not interested in foreigners. They feel like foreigners are, many countries think foreigners are coming to change the country, to make everything different. That foreigners would be inconsiderate people or something, which I don't think is true. And in Japan, they really don't think so, in my opinion. They are really curious about foreign countries. They try to learn from them, and they don't see us as people invading or anything. I think it's a very friendly interaction where everyone is just trying to learn from one another. And I'm doing the same. I'm going there to learn from them. And so it's a good place for me. Let me go on in the comments for now. Ears are hard to me, or anything alive is hard to me, but I'm getting best starting learn sculpt. Poly by poly modeling is not so good to me. Ah, okay. Yeah, I guess hang in there. It's difficult, and polygon modeling can also get you there, but it's, you can only go to a certain, there's a limit to how much detail you can control if you move one point at a time. In sculpting, you're interacting with many points at the same time, so I feel like there is sort of a physical limit to detail that you can reach with polygon, which isn't really given here. So there is some sort of benefits that you have in sculpting, but yeah, everyone who spends their time sculpting and doing their thing, you will get there, I'm sure. Just don't give up. If you give up, then you have to start over in whatever the next thing is that you pick up. So good luck until then. Oh, Skyblade, you're in Japan too? Konbanwa. Lovely. Japanese is not too difficult to learn if you have the motivation. Well, okay. It's easy to say things like that when you have already learned it, I'm sure. But I guess everyone out there who has real interest, they won't mind spending the time to learn it. Yeah, exactly. Skyblade, I think, continues on the conversation we had on Japan before. What I described as in their politeness, which might not be their real thinking, their real thoughts. They refer to it as tatemae in Japanese. It's kind of a unique word because it describes this behavior in Japanese that other countries don't have in that way. So it's interesting that there are many words actually in Japanese that you can't translate one by one because they're so kind of very specific for a culture. I mean, every country has that for sure. I guess that's one of the fun parts of learning a new language. And hello everyone who joined. So many people today. Thanks for joining, everyone. What a question. Do you like living in Japan more or the country that you originated from? I don't have a reason to hide what I think, I guess. But I enjoyed Japan a lot more. I didn't really enjoy my country of origin too much. I mean, I don't know exactly what parts of the story I want to share there, but if I can, I want to stay in Japan. I guess that's what it comes down to. I'll do my best to learn the language on a native level and hope to get some work here. And I also want to contribute to sharing a lot of what is going on in Japan. I mean, we always have this language barrier, right, with amazing things happening in Japan. But as looking at the results as people who don't speak Japanese and being amazed but not being able to follow or contribute or participate or enjoy together. So I hope that I can do something in there in this situation to improve the situation. And I'm glad that everyone in the stream here is kind of on the same page on that. Okay. It sometimes always becomes very controversial when you start talking about what's you know, opinions and what's good and what's bad. But that leads me into the next interesting topic, the question of what's right and wrong. I mean, it's just a quick one, and another opinion of mine, but I really don't think that people can ever call something right and wrong, because like it's always being said from a person's perspective, but everything is sort of relative. And while it might be true that something is right or wrong to a person, in an absolute sense and like for everyone in a general meaning, you never can really say that this is how it is. I mean, yeah, well, long story with many arguments that can be made, I guess, but the reason why I bring it up is because it kind of is interesting, an interesting mindset to have in life, because it steers you into being more open, and especially in studying, it's important, I think, to be open-minded, because when you learn something and you go in and you have the mindset of I know already what's right and wrong, you will not learn much. I mean, you have to try things before you can say it's right or wrong. And even if you tried something and you figured out that this is not what you were looking for, even then you learn something, because you then have a wider knowledge of what's around and what isn't. So being open, not considering things to be right and wrong, not from the beginning on and stuff, it's very important. So many comments. Where did I leave off? Hello to Russia. So many. I bet you guys are from all over the world anyways. I'm sure. Can I see that actually? Wait a second. Maybe I can see where. No, it doesn't look like my statistics tell me. Well, anyways, it's very interesting to get people together, I'm sure. I'm always having like a vision in my mind of things I would like to do in the future, where one of them is to organize meetups about these sort of modeling topics. And I'm pretty sure that I'll do it at some point, where I will organize an event that might be over several days, and for few people to come together and really intensively work and learn together about whatever the topic is for that event. Trying to get some very knowledge people in that area and kind of doing a big sharing session. That would be nice. I am not in Tokyo. Sorry, I'm just jumping now down there. I must have skipped a few things. I'll go back to the comments in the middle. I'm not in Tokyo. I'm in Beppu, if anybody knows that. It's in the Oita prefecture in Kyushu, in the very south of Japan. I'm there currently attending a university for business management, actually. surprise, surprise, it's not art. And so all sculpting and art I do is in my free time. And not many people around me care about art and what I do. So that's the reality. So while I might look on YouTube like I'm doing great projects and whatever, I'm involved in much, in my everyday life I'm pretty much just a student. So that's really fun because it helps me to stay on the ground in my I don't know, not to get too full of myself with my own world and my own projects going on. I guess that sums up my situation here. Oh really? You almost went to Oita University. Actually, I visited Oita University. The university that I am at is right in next city. I can actually see Oita out of my window. I'm like in a neighboring city on the mountain. And it's called Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University. And I visited Oita University actually because Oita University has, well, many science departments, a few, and there is people who come together to do 3D. There's sort of a 3D club. It's really doing a lot more. It's doing robotics and it's doing a bunch of things, but they have one department in that club that does 3D. And so because I felt like I want to meet people who do 3D, I researched a little bit in my surroundings, who is there who does 3D, and I found that club in Oita University, so I wrote them a mail and I actually went and visited them, talked to a few people. It was really fun, and I'll be visiting them again, so for sure. Actually, also there I forgot the name of the university, but there is also a university in Kyoto that I found where there are people who are doing a club that tries to learn 3D for various applications. And I haven't contacted them yet, but I also want to go to Kyoto very soon to visit the people of the club and, well, also for just making a trip. But that will maybe be in the middle of March. Yeah, if anybody is around, let me know. It's really fun because then you actually finally, when you actually have people around you who care about 3D and who get excited when you share your story about having modeled something, then it's a whole different thing. Then you feel like you want to go back home and, you know, sit down and start modeling right away. Otherwise, it's kind of difficult to find people to talk to about. Nagoya, I might pass. Actually, I could go. I mean, I always wanted to visit Nagoya. I mean, I've never had the chance because I don't know many people there, and I'm not really a tourist person. I don't visit places to see the next high rise or skyscraper something. So I would rather go to meet people or to go to an event. Basically, the plan is for me I'll be traveling with my family towards the end of March from Tokyo back down to Beppu, but before that starts I have to get to Tokyo, so I will be traveling by myself, and that'll take some time because I want to like stay in the different cities for a while. So I'll be going from Kyushu up to Tokyo by train, so I can pretty much get off on various places and spend a day or so. And yeah, I was kind of saying, and I plan on that trip to visit the people in Kyoto who are working on 3D, and I will try to find a few other places if there are any who do 3D stuff. Where are we? I'm not making much progress here on my sculpt, am I? Well, I'm so much into the conversation. It's so funny how you can like keep shifting around the same vertices over and over, back and forth, and not noticing. Okay. Ooh. Blender user in Tokyo. Saito, thanks for telling me. I would love to meet everyone who's around. Now I'm really excited about all this. Okay, I'll make another. Maybe I should make a separate video so that people don't miss it. I will plan my trip, and then I'll make a video kind of saying where I'm going to be. It would be really nice if I could meet some people on the way. VR and 3D stuff in Kyoto? That sounds good. Amazing. Alright. I think I have a lot to plan in the next couple of days. I mean, like, what is it? I mean, what do we work for anyways when we 3D artists do our projects? I don't think we're doing this to be sort of, what is it? We're not doing this to be rich or anything. So all we're actually looking for when we do 3D models, for most people I guess, is the satisfaction with creating something, the fun of getting involved with other people. So the thought of elitism with one person being like representative online or something is, in my opinion, very distorted, because that's not what it's about. It's not like other YouTubers or in other social media, where it's about, you know, getting as much attention as possible as a business or something. To me personally, YouTube and the whole, it's all a conversation place to get people together. I would feel sorry for a person in some country where there's no big 3D scene, who, you know, they like it, they know they have an interest, but there's just nothing around them to get involved with the thing. But YouTube gives, and YouTube and the creators on the platform, they give everyone an opinion to connect with people, to create content, and to start talking with people. That's just so nice, and it inspires to start similar things in your local region. I mean, YouTube has done it. You can do something similar in your. I'm not saying to make a video platform, but what I'm planning to do at my university is to start an event that will invite artists from many places, so that people at the university who are interested in a topic but never got a chance to meet the people who might change their life by inspiring them, to bring them together basically. And hopefully that gets bigger too. Maybe it can be outside of university, so that it can be a public event. So many comments. Thanks though. Where am I? Oh well. I don't... Well, for all the people studying out there, I don't believe there is such a thing as talent. Everything is earned. People become good because they work hard. So I just wanted to quickly say this for all the people who are like, oh, I wish I could do more 3D. I mean, do it. You'll get there, I promise. If you keep going, and if you think about it. Oh, I saw this stream the other day. Who was it? Bobby Chu, I think. I think I mentioned before that I like his videos and streams. He was talking with someone on an interview, and they came up with this equation for getting to skill, and it was, what was it? Time times effort times logic, I think it was. So basically what it means is that in order to get good at something, you need to spend the time, you need to spend the effort, and you need to think about it and practice the right way. If you're not doing any, like if you're not doing all of them, you'll not make progress. If you think a lot, if you put effort into, but you only do it once a month, you'll not get anywhere. If you spend a lot of time, if you do it with thought, I'm not sure about the effort one, but if you're not putting in the effort, then well, it somehow works out that it doesn't benefit you much. But more an obvious example is, again, when you're missing the logic. I mean, you can be spending a lot of time, a lot of effort, but not think about, you know, what is the next step that's right for me to practice in. I mean, if I want to make characters and I just model things in the same way over and over, it might not help me. I would need to understand that if I do something for a week, or I don't know how much time you need, and it doesn't help you improve, then you're probably practicing the wrong thing. So you might want to go on YouTube to listen to people on how they study, get some inspiration, change your practicing methods, and try again. And you know, that's what I mean by logic. I mean, you're constantly trying to improve your ways of studying, and with that you'll be fine, and you will learn English. I mean, at first, do you think I spoke English at first when I started 3D? Not much, but because that was the only way for me to get the information, I went through it, and I accidentally happened to learn English, sort of. What was I? A video about 2D art. I wonder if I'm capable. Sometimes I manage to draw something that looks sort of okay, but I'm not too confident in my drawing skills. And drawing is so hard to teach. I'm really impressed with the people on YouTube who actually teach drawing, who have the confidence to speak up there. And it's not like they're saying anything bad. They're actually helping a lot, because I learned drawing also through YouTube and their efforts. But it seems like a really difficult thing to me to teach in a really beneficial way how to draw. I mean, what are you going to say if you draw something? The brush settings are not important, let me tell you that. Or I mean, okay, they are important, but I mean, you say that once, you get it out of the way, okay. It's done fairly simply. And I can tell you, I'm not using any fancy brush. All I'm using is a round standard brush. So there isn't much you can do wrong. But you need to start talking with people about the way of approaching art. When I drew this, I was not imagining lines, or I was imagining a simplified 3D head. I was imagining a plane here. The plane was three-dimensional, it had perspective distortion. I was imagining the proportions, the distances between objects. So I know that I can draw this from any angle, with any changes that I want to make freely, because I can imagine it in a way that is editable. It's not a fixed system, it's a very flexible system that I have in my head. And you need to help people to realize that and to figure a system out for themselves. But at the same time, people cannot expect that they will get it all from one video. One video can never teach people how to draw something, but it can give them the necessary information bits that will help them eventually to get there. So, but how do you communicate that? How can you tell? I mean, you cannot start a video saying, this video will not show you how to draw this. You will not be able to make this at the end of the video. But you have to watch it, because eventually you will be able to do it because you watched this video. I mean, that doesn't really work, does it? And yeah, like specific videos can help, like anatomy basics. I mean, definitely, if you're like already comfortable with drawing and you just need a refresh on your knowledge when it comes to anatomy, great, just go out there and look for the right references and you're on track again. Yeah, but it's difficult. Maybe I get to it someday, but I might just do it on a live stream, because on a live stream I guess the expectations are way lower. I don't need to produce the content that has like a long lifetime. Even if I make mistakes, it's, well, I guess in a live stream we're forgiven. But if it's a video that is supposed to last for a while, then, and people come back to look at and learn from it, then it's maybe better to have a well thought through video. Yes, I'm a busy person. Thanks for noticing, but that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I wish I could make more videos. I was almost thinking about taking off a year at university so that I have half a year, semester time to just just do 3D and YouTube and everything, but I don't think it's a good idea. I feel like stopping in the middle will reduce my motivation to work here at university, which I do have. I do actually want to learn all the things that we do here. I haven't got myself in a situation where I'm like being forced to do anything. But I don't want to. I think it's better if I stay here and I fight with both. Busy. What's up next? Brazil is interesting when it comes to Douglas Rosa is kind of pointing out that there are studios in Brazil that are small and focused. I'm curious about the situation there, because I've met a bunch of people from Brazil, interestingly, who are into Blender and well, generally 3D. There's lots of 3D happening there. It's just so different from the image that I had. But it's nice to see that happening. Oh man, I need to seriously make progress on this sculpt. Honestly, I have not changed a single like important thing on this sculpt in 20 minutes. Oh, that's funny. I actually checked the stream on my other screen and went back 20 minutes. It looks so similar. Okay, let me do something quickly. I'll continue the conversation in a second. Let me dare to give this character a mouth, and I'm really scared because I don't think this will go well. I mean, I don't mind it go bad. But I kind of want a good result too, so let me try. What else? I'll be doing a review of a 3D printer soon, by the way. I was very honored to get into the situation that a company, an online dealer, offered me to just give me a, well, it's a cheap 3D printer, but they offered me to just give me a 3D printer, and they asked me for a review for it in exchange. And I agreed, mainly because they really did not ask for anything beyond that. It's a completely unbiased review. They're basically just asking me to make a video about the product that I got from them and to say that you can buy it there. But I don't even have to say that I liked their service or that I liked anything about them. I can say that I thought it's horrible. So that sounded fair to me. So I got a 3D printer, and as they have been really kind to me, I'll be happy to produce a video mentioning them. It will be coming out in the first or towards the second week of February. So I'll be talking a little bit about 3D printing then. Okay. Now, how about I try to block out the hair, because only once we have the hair we get a better picture of what is going on here in the sculpt. Let's start out with a sphere. Okay, and now let me read some comments again. Just because. Once I get this in place. Okay. Let's just leave it look very awkward for now. There is no talent. It's either you get to the point fast or slow or not. Well, yeah, sure. I guess there's many ways to look at it. Yeah, but everyone who wants to become a 3D artist, I think you should not be scared of it being too difficult. Just go for it. just reading some comments. Give me a second. Thank you, Chester. I am really glad to have produced a tutorial series that is beneficial to you. Yes, I agree. Apple juice is better than alcohol if you want to have good grammar or for other reasons. Anyways, I prefer apple juice. Coffee. Okay, so I prefer tea. Let me just get my opinion out there. I love tea. I don't drink coffee, actually. But there are many people who love coffee. Lovely. What else? Yeah, professional industry kind of leans towards Autodesk and these tools. I heard something recently that made me think again about you know, decisions of companies, which is customer service. I heard that it's very important for companies to when they invest into something like software or something like that, or more importantly, if it's something that leads to their profit. I mean, an animation studio cannot make profit if they don't have modeling tools, for obvious reasons. So they need a reliable supplier, even though it's software. And if they run into issues with the software, they need someone to talk to. And I feel that ZBrush and Pixelogic and all the other companies have a professional customer service where, you know, customers can go to and talk about the problems, and they can count on getting support. While Blender they're doing their best and they're doing a wonderful job, but there is no guarantee you're getting a free tool basically, but you have to figure everything out yourself if anything goes wrong, and a company cannot accept this risk. It might be too risky for them, which doesn't stop many young companies that are starting up, but like talking about the big companies, that might be a big thing that they consider, which is why it might never really come to the point that Blender gets into that position, if there's not a very, very good reason for something that can only be done in Blender. It comes kind of from the management side of things. These are the moments when I'm happy that I'm kind of learning about business. It's surprising how any kind of knowledge will end up being useful in any other thing that you're doing. Just knowledge in general adds up and becomes very useful in life. I can't believe that everyone has gone on talking about various drinks. Oh man, CBR, you are so right. I have finally fixed this thing where everyone asks what software this is because I wrote it here, but I did not clarify that this is ZBrush Core, so there is still confusion. Now I have to fix it. And my brush is not drawing. Why is that? Oh, I locked it. And now I have to do fancy handwriting again. My brush settings really aren't suited for handwriting. Let's just blame my settings. There we go. It's ZBrush Core. Okay. Well, how is it going with my sculpt? I'm not sure. Ooh, that brush is quite fancy. I really like the outcome. I decided to go with a lot of hair volume on this sculpt. I felt like kind of summarizing what the 90s style, what makes the 90s style unique. I found that lots of hair, sort of simple eyes that are rather smaller and more on the realistic side of proportions, and a mouth that is a bit higher up than these days, and that sort of thing kind of adds up to what makes the style. So I'm trying to do that. I mean, I don't think I'm doing a really great job today here, honestly. I'm learning a lot from it, but and I'm still in the progress of getting back used to modeling. I haven't modeled anything for 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I don't know. I've been too busy. So, doing my best. But yeah, there are just a few things I was thinking about before I was starting it. So, interpreting a drawing is also quite difficult. Like, the hair looks good in the picture, in the drawing, but I mean, look at what I'm making here in 3D. It's not balanced yet. I have to figure it out in 3D. What do the shapes, the lines mean in 3D? Yeah, it's not just one angle, one silhouette after all. Okay. Hello, Pixel Frosty Productions. Thanks for joining the stream. Sculpting January, is that a thing? Sculpting January? There are all these trends, right? Like, I don't know what artists do all in January and February, and I don't know. Is there actually a place where this is being communicated, or does every community just come up with that by themselves? Well, I don't know much about it anyways. So, this hair strand should go this way. How does it work? What's really funny about being an artist, especially concept artist, I assume, is that you start to become like a person who can do anything. I mean, we have to draw characters, right? And characters and humans, well, they have hair. So we have to study how to design hair, and as we artists go to any extent to gain the knowledge that we need for our sculpts and art and drawings and whatever, we'll visit hairstylists and talk with them about how like hairstyles work and everything, and then you end up being an artist who, I don't know, who knows about how to construct a road, who knows about how trains work in a more technical way. They will know how to style hair. I'm pretty sure if you go to a good concept artist and you ask him to cut your hair, he would probably do a pretty good job. Maybe a really good job, maybe even better than what you would get in your normal hair salon. I mean, artists, interestingly, they have to become experts on so many things. Well, it's interesting anyways. And this has actually been one of my projects or kind of goals for the learning goals for the next couple of, not right now, but maybe in the summer, starting in the summer, which is to expand my visual library, my kind of knowledge base that I'm working off. Right now I can only really make characters that I have on a reference, because I don't have the ability to come up with great designs just yet. Even though I could draw them in theory if I had the idea. So I need to learn about all the things that make a character design good, which is not the technique oftentimes, which is more the knowledge about, you know, general, well, the world. So I might want to look into many of the interesting genres that I like and read a bunch of stories, and importantly make notes and not consume only, but to learn from it. So it's really a learning progress. It's not just doing more, enjoying more content, consuming more. There is a Facebook group for the January, February thing. Okay, that's funny. Okay. Well, this hairstyle sure looks a bit weird. But I guess we all have a bad hair day. I bet this guy woke up and is still really tired and his hair just looks awful because he didn't have time to fix it. I'll just tell this story and then everybody will forgive me for giving him horrible hair. That's how it works. Now, I'll see what I can do. It's funny how the... Nice though that people in chat are having conversations now and then. It reminds me of a room with like, imagine you're in a restaurant and you're talking to the person across the table, maybe 3 seats to the right, and then there's like 3 other conversations going on. Oh, I'm not criticizing anything. Just reminded me of that picture. Okay, what do you guys think? Does that even look similar to my reference? Am I getting there? I'm looking at this so long already that I'm losing kind of a good feeling for whether I'm moving in the right direction or not. I need more hair volume. My sculpt looks younger. I think the eyes are too low. The proportions are a bit off. By the way, what do you guys think? How can, in your opinion, how can I share more of this knowledge? Or let me change the question a little bit. What do you come to this channel to when you come back and watch the videos? What do you come here for? Because I'm really curious, as it could help me provide more useful information for everyone. I mean, I have my own things, the things that I want to do, that I have the channel for, the reason. I mean, I'm not going to stop anything about that. But I mean, if I get some input, I can like adjust things to be more useful, I assume. For example, I mean, some people might be coming in the stream for the conversations about mindset, because I certainly watch all my live streams that I watch at the moment for insights into other people's way of approaching life, because that really helps me. It helps me and it interests me to see different approaches, to understand other people, and because they are related to art, it also will help me on the side for the art. But I guess some other people could come to a channel because, you know, if you're searching for anatomy references, for example, you'll want information just plain and as quickly as possible without much talking, maybe. So I'm curious about what do you guys kind of expect coming here? Let me see. Well, if anyone has a comment on that anyways, let me know. I'll be reading the comments. Otherwise, for now, for the next couple of weeks at least, I'll be doing live streams mostly, and I'll try to go into depth about like topics that come up. There's actually one more idea I want to introduce. I think it would be really interesting if I did sort of a themed sculpting, and that refers to every week people could vote on between like 2 or 3 topics, and one topic could be 90s style anime, and another topic could be what could it be? Science fiction. Let me come up with something. A character who is a cook in 2050, for example. Whatever. Just a couple of choices, and then everybody could vote on them. And then the next stream could be about coming up with a concept or just sculpting, trying to get there. And it might cover several streams, but it would be fun if there was kind of a connection, story, and something that you guys can be interacting with, so that you can come back on 2 days later and see how the progress is going, and something along those lines. Maybe that would be interesting. Because otherwise it's always me just randomly sculpting something, and then when you ask a question, I'm kind of not sure, should I stop my sculpt here to show you something, or should I kind of say, well, I might do a video about this sometime, or I would maybe just explain it verbally, which might not be as effective. So out of many things that are possible, I'm thinking about changing things a little bit to make it more useful for everyone. Well, anyways, just take it as a little heads up for what's coming up. I'm just realizing there's so many people watching today. I think I've never really had 50 people watching. Well, almost 50. How do you spell your name? Mint Exe? Well, you're very welcome. I'm really happy that I could have contributed to getting you started in 3D. Like, I mean, how amazing is it that you can say that, I'm sure that some people actually will excel and like go ahead in their art career and really become great artists, and that it's just an honor that I can be part of what helps you get there. That's really a great feeling. Oh well, 5 AM in the morning. Yeah, sorry, that's usually the time. Today is different, because a lot is different in the past couple of weeks, but timing is difficult. I'll do it I'll promise you this. I'll definitely keep switching times back and forth between times that are good for United States and American countries, and I'll also do times that are good for Europe. I would feel sorry if the streams are always at 5 AM for some people. Good question. Why am I not working on big projects? I have a little bit of a struggle to stay motivated in projects that are not for myself, because my goal right now in any way is I want to learn more, I want to study, I want to get better. And if I stop seeing anything that will help me improve, if it's just executing what a person needs, then it can become difficult for me to stay motivated. But that is like in a project, if there's a good outcome, okay, you might have different kinds of motivations, but I rarely find a project that is actually promising, where, you know, I can actually believe in the result. Oftentimes it will be more of a, it will be unclear whether this project will actually ever happen. Everyone is talking about the great result, but will it ever come to life? Will it ever work out? And so it's hard to trust a project enough to spend all your time and effort on it, which you could otherwise spend on practicing, where you know that this actually leads to something that you benefit from. That's the reason for that. Otherwise, I would love to be involved with big things, and I'll definitely in the future, even if I have to kind of organize them myself. Thanks, Gromird. I love everyone too. Thanks for joining. Your English sounds just fine, and well, welcome to the club of people who learn English. I'm myself learning English, and I'm so happy that every native speaker is so accepting us, like not native speakers. I rarely hear people who are native English speakers complaining about all the foreigners trying hard to speak the language, but having all the accents. So thanks a lot to everyone out there who's not judging us badly because we're not speaking properly. Because in like Austria, in German countries, that's definitely a thing. I would say that people are being judged negatively because they don't speak the language properly, and I'm sure in many other countries. Not everyone does, of course, but there are certain people, and kind of spreads a not so comfortable atmosphere for people, not very welcoming. I'm kind of starting to figure out how the hair works. I drew it, but I didn't quite understand it. Well, I had an idea, sort of, where I wanted things to go, but I need to figure it out in 3D. Now I'm starting to figure out how it works. This strand kind of goes down here. I wanted to make it a bit interesting, not too classic. Like something a bit... a mixture between, you know, styled hair and then hair that kind of falls down, just kind of left as is. I guess this is how I can approach it. And like very strong differences between long and short hair. I'm hoping to make the hair in the front look kind of very short in comparison to the hair that's kind of pushed up here. And the direction also strongly changes. Alright. Yeah, thanks for so many people watching. So what's this next comment? 90s style anime are kind of interesting. The animation is so smooth compared to nowadays. Yeah, crappy budget animation. What a long word. Yeah, but I kind of agree. I think I know what you're trying to refer to, and I really agree. I feel very sad about recently the amount of shows that I feel, anime shows that I feel have good content are really decreasing. I want to see, you know, even if the quality of the art is not the best, I want to see stories again. I want to see good stories that excite me, can be about everyday life even, but I really want to know more about the characters. I want to get a strong feeling for who they are and what they do and their story. This is what I love about storytelling in animation, that you can get such a strong insight, but recently we're not getting much of that, I feel. Okay. Oh my god, seriously? Is someone actually making a presentation about artists and I'm being one of them? This is like one of my, I'm not kidding. This was one of my kind of dreams when I started being on YouTube, because I was always also asked in school, of course, to make various presentations, and I would sometimes, you know, refer to people that I would trust. And I was never thinking even of the possibility that I could be someday quoted as the person doing things. That made my day. 12:20 p.m. Oh, it's getting late on your side. I guess for people in Europe it's the best time to watch a stream. Or maybe in Japan. Oh, it's getting late in Japan too. Well, I will keep going for a little bit. I want to kind of finish this hair at some point where it kind of looks like something, so give me a bit more time on that. I'll maybe do another 20 minutes. I don't want to go too long, but oh, I have sad news too. nothing that bad, but my MacBook, my other laptop, kind of is sort of broken. I don't know if any of you know about this issue, but Apple had a problem with their MacBook Pros that were released in early 2011, where it's a kind of a problem with the graphics chip, where the hardware kind of ends up failing at some point, and pretty much everyone who bought that laptop ends up experiencing this issue at some point if they use their machine a lot. And I have had this issue before, 2 years ago, and my computer broke and it was unusable, and it was very sad, and I fixed it a couple of times, but then it was completely broke at some point. But then Apple finally kind of accepted that this was their fault, that they actually delivered the project in an unreliable state. So I got it back, my machine, after like a year of not being able to use it. And then, well, everything was good until now, where the problem is back, because they didn't re-engineer the machine, they just replaced the part with a working one, and you're up to your luck again, until you, well, happen to come across the same issue again. And so that happened again, and now I managed to start it up a few last times, because it's not like an absolute thing. It like works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't, but it's very unreliable, and you have to start it up like 10 times, and then it works sometime, and you have to like reset a few things every time to try. But looks like my laptop is gone now, and so that's a bit annoying. But I had it for 6 years, so I guess it was worth the money. Shouldn't be complaining too much. And I'm just like even more happy that I decided to buy my new computer in the last summer, because it was quite expensive, but I thought it would be eventually important to have one anyways, and it allowed me to get into VR. And well, now it allowed me at least a smooth transition. I haven't lost any data. I just lost the machine. Let me drink something. I can't speak. Okay. So let me read some comments. Yeah, been living in Germany for 4 years. They look happy instead if a foreigner can speak the language, and some of them even try to speak in an easiest way for us foreigners to understand. That kind of connects to the story before about language, right? Justin Juice says, I like anime that feels relatable when it comes to emotions, bondings, relations, and anything that makes you feel close to art. Definitely. I think those are really enjoyable. It's very interesting, the question of what people look for when they watch movies and things like that. And I feel kind of that it's different for people, that there are various kind of needs that are being fulfilled by movies and animations. And it's kind of interesting to think about what we as creators are trying to answer. I mean, even if we make an animation, we're trying to answer our own needs, right? We're trying, whatever it is, you might want to feel accomplishment by making art, but you might also want to realize some fantasies of yours, whatever they are. You might, let me give you an example, just so that I'm not leaving it up to you to imagine whatever fantasies I'm saying, but you might imagine like how society should work, like, and imagining how, in your opinion, society would be very interesting, a future world or something, and then being able to animate and draw actually gives you the ability to build entire cities and to share this idea with people, to get people excited about it without having the money and the power to actually create a city. So being able to create and to do art can be so huge when you think about it, because it's really not just imagination anymore when you go ahead and you make art happen. You can communicate it, and people who have the power might be seeing it, and you know, it could become something. Well, maybe a city is a bit exaggerated there, but things can happen. I'm so glad that people actually that are able to follow my character modeling tutorials. Thanks for telling me that. Everyone is, you guys are so welcome. Thanks for all your comments about having benefited from my series. VR is really cool. Are you looking to get the new Vive Pro from Drelv? I don't have the money for that, and I'm not sure if it's yet there. I still have to listen to what other people think. So I have the Oculus Rift now, and now I can finally make an opinion on VR, and I feel I have a very split opinion on two-sided opinion on what's going on in VR. I still believe, I really believe that the potential is huge, but I also realize that it's not quite there, in my opinion, even though I'm really, really honestly sad to say this. Maybe it's just that I'm not really into games in first place. I'm not entirely sure, because I don't even play normal games too much. But I sometimes, and it's not like I'm starting to feel sick being in VR, but something keeps me being a bit hesitant to spend too much time in VR. You know, maybe it's the effort that you need to go through before you can start. I mean, you need to kind of set up your sensors, you need to do whatnot, so it's kind of a effort to go through. Then, you know, when you're done, the feeling of, well, okay, everything you just experienced was in a virtual world is kind of something that needs to be considered in a psychological way. I mean, how would you feel about it? You experience something and then someone will tell you it's a lie, nothing of that ever happened, but you spent your time on it, your valuable time that you could have spent to you know, reach something in your life. So there are quite some concerns for me, but it's still an amazing tool. Like, if you look at it as a tool, it allows you to visualize things, it allows you to look at things from different perspectives. For that, it could be very powerful again. Also, I met a person recently who is a PhD student here at university, and she researches into using technology to help people in psychological ways. I mean, there is this thing of visiting a psychotherapist does not have a good image. People will say that a person has a messed up life if you know, they would find out that they're seeing a therapist, which is very bad, because, you know, we need to see them sometimes. It's a serious health concern. That's quite common and normal, and we should treat. But since this situation does not allow us often to be open about it, so the person I was talking about is researching about how technology could be kind of a step in between. And so I was hearing a few stories about the things he's researching, and yeah, VR could be something that goes in that sector, that it could be a tool that people could get to help diagnose themselves and to get help themselves without having to do it publicly. So VR is great, but I'm not going to get the Vive Pro yet because I don't see a huge benefit that I'm gaining from it. Daniel, make how to basic in Marvelous Designer, please. I am not good at Marvelous Designer. I appreciate it, but your request. But I just play around with it until it looks good. But you're right, it's definitely something that is interesting and that there should be more videos about, and I would be watching them first if there were good ones. So let me do that whenever I gain the skill and I can share knowledge about it. I'll definitely be doing it. Yes. 3D is like making your own perfect world. Karam says that. Yeah, kind of true. Yeah, it really can do that in a way. But remember never to escape reality, says Justin Chu, and wow, I couldn't agree more. And yeah, that really connects to the story about VR. We just get sad, more sad. It just destroys us more if we try to escape reality, because realistically speaking we cannot, and we need to live with it somehow. And so for that reason we should consider all these technologies something that can enrich our lives, not something that can replace it. So something to think about. Yeah, everyone can make their own fantasies, and that's good that way. The Jojo Sison asks, sorry I was late for the stream, but I need to know if your reference was a front and side view of the head. If you're talking about this sculpt, the only picture I have is this here, a sketch that I made before, and this can be all you need for a sculpt. That's one of the reasons, by the way, why I switched from Blender to ZBrush, because I was not able to work only from imagination in Blender and polygon modeling, which I need to be able to do at some point. But in ZBrush I can actually work as if it was a drawing. I can like experiment, and you know, I don't need the technical view from all angles. So if you want to learn how to work with few references, look into sculpting. I think you'll benefit from it. Wow, hair is so difficult. You really need to think about where the strands go. Like, it's not just random lines that kind of lead in the same direction. You actually have to consciously think about which line goes how through the volume, and oh man, it's still so messed up. I'll get there. It's a lot about proportions too, I see. I mean, the details might not be too bad already, but the general proportions are still quite off, and so it makes it look very distorted. Let me see. I want to kind of get a strand stick out here. Like this. Difficult. We'll get there. Okay. Don't be offensive. Oh, thanks for answering the question there. Hair is difficult. I did a tutorial on hair, by the way. You might want to take a quick look, get some inspiration from it. Maybe you'll find a way to do your hair from that. A low poly character tutorial. Well, low poly characters these days always originate from high poly characters. Well, in most cases, because you can bake the details of the high poly mesh into textures. But I guess I will... Okay, sorry. My next character tutorial will probably be high poly, because I've recorded it already. But okay, I'll consider doing more low poly for the next upcoming one if there's anything. I guess that will be more useful. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I can share some insights into what I learned about modeling faces, anime style faces, because there are kind of some tricks that don't look quite obvious at first, but with practice and lots of attempts you will figure out over time. Let me talk about some of them as soon as I have a few things fixed here. So it's about simplification. We always want in art generally, in character modeling and well, anatomy, we always want to simplify the shapes in our mind so that we can remember them and replicate them and imagine them from all perspectives. And we kind of remember things on different levels of detail. So I'm kind of remembering this head in a rough shape, and then I remember the details separately, and I project the details onto the rough shape, and that will eventually get me there. So let me switch back to the head. Can you see how, I'll just edit it for a second, how this is really flat? This part is super flat here, and it has very defined corners when you think about it. If I highlight the corners for a second, here and here, there is actually a really flat area on anime style faces. And well, then it kind of goes here into the bag and becomes a smooth. Here it's a corner, but it smooths out to be a curvature towards the end and connects down here. And here it's also a corner, which also kind of spreads out. Do you see kind of the shape now? So here it's flat. And then you go from an angular shape to a rounded shape. It's kind of like bevel. And well, then there's the rest of the head, but whatever. And so this kind of simplification will really help you. And kind of the insight I want to give you is that this is surprisingly flat, and that, you know, I'll show you what the common mistake was for me in this situation. I would be pushing the cheeks way... Oh, I should be careful. I don't want to lose all my progress here. Where was I? Okay, this is the right spot. So I was doing the cheeks way far behind. I was kind of doing it like this, and I was moving the cheeks out and trying to get it look right in silhouette, and it kind of always looks kind of weird, right? Well, that is because apparently if we make it really flat, it looks better. And one way I researched about this, I found out about some of this, is by looking at figures. I mean, they're 3D figures of anime characters, right? And they will often have very good interpretations of how the characters work in 3D. So you can look at pictures of them and kind of try to use the same techniques. The hairstyle that I choose here is really surprisingly difficult. I'm really fighting here to get this look right. And I'm like not even see, this is what I mentioned kind of at the beginning. I'm already too focused on the details. I haven't spent enough time on getting the overall shape right. I might be confused by the overall thing looking not good and blaming it on the details and not allowing myself to make progress because of that, while I should actually try to first get the overall shape right and then start considering fixing the small parts. So let me try to approach it from a bit more general perspective. But it kind of got better. Kind of got somewhere. Oh well, it's not the greatest. What do you people say in the chat? Vintage. Not sure what kind of style you refer to. I'm trying today to do kind of a 90s style. You came back to see a flat face? Oh, that must be a surprise. Okay. Yeah. Have a good night or day, everybody who left. I guess they're gone already anyways. Some people actually watched this at 4 AM in the morning. Wow. You should get some sleep if it's 4 AM in the morning on your side. Is there anyone else? Don't overdo it. Need some sleep. Sleep is important. If you don't sleep, then you'll have hard times remembering things, is what they say in psychology class. So if you want to learn things properly, get enough sleep. It's good for your health. Okay, I'm really going back a few steps here now. Just trying to get the rough shapes right. I don't even know anymore. Well, maybe I should retry sometime soon, and I probably will. I'll probably draw a bit more 2D and draw from a few angles, try to better define the hairstyle, try to get a better understanding of the strands, and what else can I do? I need to prepare myself a bit better for this character. And, okay, there is one thing I should still do before I give up on it. I actually did this project to figure out more about the, well, as I mentioned, the 90s style face proportions. So at least I want to give the face a little bit more attention now. At least we have a block out of the hair. It's kind of a representation of what it should be. So let's just live with it for now, I would say. It's kind of too long in the back. The step should be shorter. Yeah, I really feel like a hairstylist giving someone a haircut. I bet he's kind of going to complain about his hairstyle. Well, 10 AM but you haven't slept. Well, that's your decision. I hope you're enjoying it. Hey, that's an interesting idea. Drells, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. To go through older videos and to tell you my opinion about what I think about my videos in the back. Way back, the videos that I did in the past, I mean. That would be interesting. I will consider that. Maybe if there's a particular video that I find outdated and useful, or if I can update some knowledge. That's a nice idea. Thanks for sharing that. Like the tips and tricks video. Tips and tricks videos could also be nice. If I get more used to the workflow, and like I have some things that some certain workflows that I keep doing that people should know before they get. I can definitely do that for Blender. I might do that, yeah. I have some things that when I see people who start out with Blender, there are a few things that they usually don't know because it's never really mentioned, but what would really, really make their workflow faster in the learning experience. Like, how do you guys get into side view or top view or some views in Blender? Do you guys use your numpad to, you press 5, you switch to perspective, you press 1, you go to front view, I think, press 0 to go to camera. That's what you learn, and that's how you do it. But if you rotate your camera, it's pretty similar how it works in ZBrush. If you rotate your camera and while you rotate it, I think in Blender you hold Alt, in ZBrush you hold Shift, then the camera will snap into the angles, as you can see here, like 90-degree angles. And then you release the mouse first, and then you're in the view. And so that just increases your workflow so much, because you don't have to try, wait, what was key 1 again, what was 3 again, what was 7 again. You can just go and switch into the view like I'm doing here. 90 degrees done, 90 degrees done. I want to look from the top down, I want to look from bottom. I actually wanted to look at bottom in a different direction, for example, and done. And so that is one of the things that really, really, really is good. Yeah, the numpads. I did that for a long time myself. I figured that out only years later. And I even saw people who used the arrows on a numpad, like 2, 4, 8, and 6, to like rotate the view. Like they would rotate the view in like 15 degrees angles. So, yeah. And customizing your shortcuts is already really good if you're doing that. I see someone is saying 1, 2, 3, 4 customize to the different views. That's already the right way, the right approach, You're customizing the software to be more productive, spending that kind of effort. But coming back to the point, I guess I can make a video on sharing some of my tricks and tips that I would think are useful. Let's see how much time we'll have in my spring break. I just have to get through my next week of exams, and as I said, I have a little job that I have to fulfill with 4 characters next month, where I'm not sure how much I can share, but I might even have a job afterwards. Well, it's kind of a busy time for me, but I will do my best. I will keep streaming because that's doable, and I will see if I can come up with videos. Eventually, I want to go back to doing YouTube mainly and videos, but I guess on my way there I have to be a bit creative because financial reasons, partially. I mean, living here as a student requires money, and I don't want to burden my parents too much, and I don't want to waste my time doing part-time jobs either, because the pay is not really good and I could use the time to learn 3D. So I need to be a bit creative about that and accept some jobs. So that's that. But I'll be going back to them, and yeah, I'll invite Millennium to be here next week. I bet he must be missing the whole thing. I haven't talked to him in like 2 weeks or so. I just had no time at all. But I'm curious what he will have to tell us. He did so much in the past couple of weeks. He has a drawing series on his channel now where he streams live about drawing, and he sculpts for some project, I think. I can only tell from the title because I'm only seeing like his title says new character for the project and let's draw or something. So We'll get him back here on the stream if he wants to. Okay, and I said I'll work on the face, so let me do that. I will increase the resolution a little bit and add some detail. First of all, I want some eyes. Because eyes are important, I think. Let's just do them as a mesh, because that will do for now. Looks kind of funny. And I decided to put an edge in here, because if this was going to be rendered with lines, then this edge could show up. So I'm adding a little edge here, and for the eyebrows I'll just go with a mesh again. That kind of looked funny. Kind of short, thick eyebrows. That looks a bit manlier than the round eyebrows that I have in my sketch. How could I have quit it at this point? The mouth is not even nearly done. Let's give a little bit of an eyelid. There's so much missing. Here I think I'll choose to move inwards instead of pulling out the eyelids, eyelashes, whatever. Something like this. Doesn't that look nice? I can share a little story here about enjoying the process of art. I was myself going through lots of struggles in various stages with, am I really enjoying this? What am I doing this for? And so on. But I met here at university a few people who were like happiness in person. If you personified like happiness, they were like positive in everything. And one of them was even into art, and she taught me how... Oh, actually she was on the stream. I'm talking about Tasnim, who was on the stream before. She had this really, really positive... yeah, somebody asked already. She had this really positive attitude, and she was criticizing me, like right on the first day when I talked about art, that that she was saying something like, why are you being so critical about your work, and almost making fun of me, because from her perspective that's really stupid. And I knew that from my side that this was something I need to change, but I just couldn't find out how to change it. Well, in the end it turns out for all these things it's all a mindset issue. We need to find a trigger that finally helps us to stop being stubborn about our mindset, to do a change. We need to change, and well, she managed to give me that kick, and so has been going a lot better since then. But to repeat now, what I figured out for myself is that there's absolutely no meaning in being frustrated about about your art. It's important to always be criticizing it positively, to see what's wrong and to do better. But it has absolutely no meaning to be strict in a negative way, as in, you know, will this ever work out? Am I making progress at all? And, you know, I'm a failure because I'm not there yet, or things like that, thoughts that might go through your mind. I mean, we are doing our best. We're not giving up, we're not being lazy, so everything is good. And by the way, there is no one to judge us anyways. I mean, we're doing it because we choose to, and everything we do is good as it is. No one has the right to kind of say that this is worthless or something. And in first place, we're not making it for anyone anyways. It's our decision to make it. We should just be very, very true to ourselves, and to some extent not care too much about what people say. I mean, you make your own decisions, and as long as you're not expecting or involving other people in that, as in affecting their lives, there's nothing people can tell you, really. So many comments. Concept art is difficult. Yeah. Are you... I think you referred to my character, Crybaby from Evangelion. Well, I don't know. Oh, well, whatever. What was I? I'll take a look at that YouTuber after the stream. Sounds interesting. Why did you swear to never advertise something for free? Why not? I mean, what some people would say, be nice to the people around you, and it will come all back someday. Well, but it's fine, I guess. We shouldn't allow people to make use of us because of that. Oh, Justin. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to go into that conversation. Hey, but interesting comment. Shinji from Evangelion. I was actually thinking a lot about Shinji from Evangelion for this character. I was thinking about making it very similar to Shinji. So I'm glad that kind of showed. It was one of my references that was just going through my mind. Aren't we kind of getting there now? I mean, okay, I did a little bit of a different character. It's not as in Sketch anymore. The eyebrows make a huge difference. The facial expression is a bit different. Let me pose the eyes differently so that we can have a bit of a more representative comparison to the image. So this eye will go more up. This eye too. Let's make him look to the side. Oh, and by the way, may I point out that I am modeling a male character? I mean, people criticize me a lot. Not criticize me, but people always ask, do you always model female characters? No, I'm not only modeling female characters. It was just in the situation, well, my way of moving forward, I guess. But that was never the meaning from me. Anyways. But I'm glad that I moved on working a little bit on the face. Now I feel a lot happier about like leaving the sculpt somewhere around here. And let me change the matte cap for a second because I want to look at it in a different shading. Where's the... What am I looking for? Basic material? Yes. Yeah, it's not super detailed. It's not the best, but I think I was able to get a little bit of a better feeling for the model, and I'm definitely better prepared for the job that I'm going to be working on. And I'll be doing a few more models and practices in advance. I still don't feel 100% comfortable, but I want to, when I get a job, when someone gives me kind of a commission to work for them, I want to do, of course, my best to provide, well, at least the best I can do. That's important. And I might be losing in a business perspective, as in spending too much time on a project that does not profit me as much as it should, but I'm learning from it, and that's very, very valuable from the future. So it's good to make a compromise in between. This is a whole another story though, about freelancing as a 3D artist. But we can talk about that another time, I think. But I like today's conversation a lot, actually. It was very interesting. I mean, I'm just sitting in an empty room talking to myself and the chat. But I mean, if you look at me from like a spectator's perspective in my surroundings, I'm just a person sitting alone in my room talking to myself. But I'm enjoying the conversation so far, so that's a good thing. And it also kind of surprises me how you can actually keep talking for 2 hours. Every time I start the stream, I'm worried that I don't have enough things to talk, and what should I talk about this time. I always put a pen and some paper in front of me so that when I have some ideas I can write them down so that I can have a list of things to come back to, but I end up not using it anyways. But well, there were 3 weeks since last time. I guess today there was a lot to talk about. There is another huge topic that I wanted to actually talk about, which I didn't even get to. But that's too much for today. That will be getting very deep. Hi Natsbird. Speaking German there, I think. I mean, I know what you mean, but whatever. I guess most people here don't speak German, so let me stick with English. I would love to do some Japanese videos though from time to time. But I guess that's not very useful to you guys. I just never had the courage to do so, and I might do it anonymously on a separate new channel. Just try to make Japanese videos. Because I learned English because I had the courage to just start making videos, and they were horrible at first, I assume. But I managed. Speaking of which, I did not delete any videos from the very beginning of my YouTube career. So, if you want a motivation boost, proof that I have been starting out too many years ago, feel free to go back and take a look. I'm a child 14 years old or something with super high voice saying, "Hello, my name is Daniel, and I will now teach you about how to simulate fire." It's not very enjoyable, believe me. Okay, but I'm good, Natsper, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I'm all with a pen. This is ZBrush Core. I'm all with a pen. I should teach you guys Japanese. How would that be? Going from a 3D modeling channel to teaching Japanese. That would be really funny though. That would be quite a niche, like, as a YouTuber. I mean, who else out there has a channel that teaches about 3D modeling and Japanese? Actually, that sounds great. That sounds great. That sounds wonderful. I mean, I'm not going to change my channel to become a language teaching channel, but I think it is worth doing like a video on how to approach it, because I think that what stops many people, or where many people kind of fail to continue, is figuring out how to study the language. Everyone has to study the language by themselves, but I can share my experiences on where to get the the materials, what materials to study with, give you an overview of the language, and why not do that at some point? As many people are interested in it anyways. Let me read some questions. Never mind. Daniel's busy. In the holidays. Konnichiwa. Yeah, something like that. Let me finish on the Japanese topic first, and I'll go back to that question. I can speak sort of fluent Japanese, but I have to say that it's a strong separation between technical topics and everyday conversation. I have absolutely no problem having a good everyday life conversation at this point without any delays or anything. But I'm really not there yet, as in professionally. I cannot use Japanese in a company yet. I can convey my opinions on topics, but I don't have words for, like, I don't know, if I was doing 3D and I should explain someone that the topology isn't right and that there is, you know, you have to do quads that follow the flow. I mean, I would be using English words all the time, so it's a very two-sided story again. As in, yes, I can speak, and no, I still have a lot to learn. But at least I'm writing essays now in Japanese class. I mean, I'm still taking Japanese course at university, and right now we have to write essays by hand, of course, because we need to learn the kanji writings, which are comparable to, let's say, 300-400 word essays in English about topics like, let's see what was recently, I think, environmental issues. So we learn first the vocabulary to go with the topic, and then they ask us to write about our own country and to come up with some arguments. So it's challenging. It's not easy at all for me, but it's good because that gives me an opportunity to learn it. I mean, how much motivation must you have to just for fun write an essay in a different language that takes you like hours and hours? Okay, and the other question was, what was it? Yeah, you're right. I guess I could have just placed a separate object in the eyes instead of modeling them in a sculpt. I was just being lazy. But you're right. I think your idea there is better. Could have just added a separate object. Would have made things easier, especially I keep working in symmetry, and then I end up, well. But for now, I'll just leave it. I think it's funny how I can consider this a sculpt as a sketch. I mean, it's not a polished sculpt, right? It's just a rough sculpt, which gives you the idea of how it's supposed to look. So I kind of like referring to it as a sketch, because it's, as in effort and time consumption, it's kind of on the same level as a sketch would be compared to a finished painting. Ooh, the chin also made quite a difference, defining it a little bit more. Let's see how this works. These are kind of some interesting aspects again of sculpting. I just did some changes which did not seem necessary, but once you do them, they make sense. Well, I don't like it actually right now, how it turned out. But there's something missing maybe down here, which doesn't seem too obvious. Alright, oh wow, 2 hours, 15 minutes already, so long. This is preparation for a client work. This is not the content that I'm creating for my client directly. What else? Do I hide my sub count? I don't think I do. I think you're not seeing it because you're subscribed, but it's visible. Sorry, I'm just asking to someone who was telling me all of 3D. You should be able to see, but that's not so important anyways for me. Wow, I don't know why today I'm so overwhelmed, but I'm really surprised at how well kind of this whole community is going. Like, I really appreciate the presence of all of you, really, to come here and listen to the stream. I mean, when I started out, I had no idea. I have not been to Comic-Con yet, but to be honest, I don't really know what I would be doing if I went there alone, because it's kind of something, I guess you should be going with a friend. I'm this kind of person who feels very quickly embarrassed, actually, like in person, when I'm around a place, and I'm really curious, so I'll go like and watch everything on the convention from a distance. But I'm like too shy to go and talk in person. And so sometimes it's not too enjoyable. So I like having friends with me who are like very open and very outwards, so that they can be like, oh my god, I really want to see this. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. And actually I really want to go there myself. Well, but that's a different story. Well, I don't want to share details about how much I charge, but if anyone has a project or a job offer, kind of feel free to contact me on my mail and we can like talk about it. It really depends on the project, how much effort it is and everything. And we can talk about it. But right now, it looks like I have quite a bit to do for the next 2 months. So just for a moment, I'm kind of busy to accept too much work. I mean, still, if you have anything, feel free to contact me, but I'll be giving you the details on like schedule and offers on the mail. And you can find my mail on my YouTube page. People keep not finding it, but it's there on my About page. Yes, I live in Japan now. Wow, what a great community. Yes, like YouTube communities and I don't know, other social platform communities can be quite rough at times, but I'm really glad that the people watching like on this channel are really on the same page, kind of in their way. It's wonderful. I keep talking. I need to finish this at some point. Let's see. What time is it here? Wait, it's already past midnight? Wow. Okay. I didn't even realize. Alright, let me know, guys, what do you think about this sculpt? It's really not the best. But now I start finding things that I want to change again. The eyes are kind of big. Maybe I can make them a bit smaller. But I will call it a day with this last change. It ended up not being entirely what the drawing looks like, but it looks interesting in its own way, and I learned from it, definitely. So I guess I'm kind of exhausted. thanks everyone for joining. I really enjoyed today's conversation. Let's see. I'll try to be back next week, although it might be a bit difficult because my really final last exam will be in the week after next week on Monday. So depending on how much I get done in studying, depending on that, I might do a stream. But otherwise, I will be having like spring break for 2 months after that, which will hopefully be really productive times. I'm planning to publish a lot. Also, let me quickly mention that I'm doing Patreon, and I will be honest here, I'm really not the best person on Patreon. As you know, as my busy times like come and go, I'm not 100% consistent, but I've lowered kind of the donation levels a lot. So what is it right now? There's one level basically to join the community for $4 a month, and I will share at the end of every month. So I think I'll be sharing tomorrow the 3D models for this month, and you'll get the data basically for this month. It's not going to be too much. I really apologize for that, but it was just because of busy times. But there will be one base mesh, a high poly kind of base mesh for getting started in sculpting. It's not really base mesh. What is it? Kind of a starting model. It's kind of a general human figure. It's the one that I worked with in my last stream. That one you'll be able to get access to, and I'm thinking about including 1 or 2 anime style heads, not finished ones unfortunately again, but it is something to look at and learn from once again. And I might just add like another model that I worked on a couple of months ago because there is so little content this month. But otherwise, I'm looking forward to the spring break where I have more time. And generally speaking, it's just if you learn from it, if you think this is good for you, or if you just want to contribute, consider heading over to Patreon. Maybe there's something for you. But don't feel like you have to do anything. I just really appreciate you joining the stream, joining the conversation. That means the most to me. And I really hope to see you guys next week again. And with that, I wish you all the best. Keep studying. I'm really sure you'll get there. See you next week then.